What up, Winbush here, and today I'm excited to show everybody how we can make this futuristic HUD design all inside of Unreal Engine 5.4 with the motion design tools, and there's no keyframes in here at all. So what you're seeing, we're actually using the animator stack to just animate all of our HUD designs right here inside the viewport. And the cool thing is I went through and I created all these from scratch so I can share this with you guys absolutely free. So if we're looking in Adobe Bridge right now, you can see I have all these little techie images. They weren't hard to build. I built these out in Illustrator, but I'm going to give you the spec file so that you guys could go through, download them yourselves, and actually play around with it. And then these right here, these are the Illustrator files because I did build these out in Adobe Illustrator. Everything is vector. So if you want to go through and manipulate these any way that you want it, I'll also include all these files there as well. So you have the spec files, you have the image textures, and you'll also have the vector files just to play around with it. And if you're not familiar with how to use spec files, make sure you go to this tutorial. I'll also have it linked down below, but this is going to show you step by step exactly how you can use the spec files to import this into your scene as well. And before we move forward, I want to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to Andy Blondin. He's an inspiration for this tutorial. Without him, I don't even know if I would have came up with this. So big shout out to Andy over there at Epic Games. So getting started, we're going to start with a completely blank slate here. So now we have a blank scene here inside of Unreal Engine. And the first thing you want to do is come up here to edit, come down here to plugins, and inside of search, you're just going to type in design. Now I already have it activated, but you want to have motion design activated. This is going to bring in the motion design tools. And then also, if you want to use the spec file, type in storm, and you want to activate these as well. And that's if you want to take my project file and import it to follow with this tutorial. So I'm going to exit this out. Now I'm going to come up here to selection mode, come down here to motion design. And then I'm going to come up here at the top where it says motion design, left click on this as well. And now this is going to bring us into our motion design window, in which you can see right here, we have the motion design outliner. I have my regular outliner. This one is just hanging. So I'm going to put it on my second monitor there. And we have our operator stack. You want to make sure you have this open because we're going to be messing with the animators right here. And if you don't see this, if you come over here to your left-hand side where it says operator stack, select this, and this is going to pop this over here. And then one last thing right here where it says material designer, you want to left click on this, and that's going to bring up our material designer as well, which is going to be really important for this tutorial. Now, before we get started with anything else, we're going to start off with a blank slate. So I'm going to come over here to my motion design outliner, which I just moved that over right there. And what I'm going to do is select everything in here, and I'm just going to delete it. Now, if I come over here to where it says create defaults, left click on this, this is going to bring up this window that tells us that it's going to create something new for each one of these items here. So we're just going to click spawn, and now everything is going to be lined up as we need it to be. If you come right here to where it says default scene, you can see it made a camera, a post-process volume, it made a skylight, and it made a directional light for us. So everything is built by default, even our sequencer down here, which is going to be at 5994 frames per second, which is default for broadcast and television. And then also we still have our content browser down here as well, in which I'm going to save all because that's always a good idea. And then down here, if you want to follow with the exact images I'm using the ones called dot. I'm using the one called Winbush Tech _02. And then Winbush Tech _04. But feel free to use any of the items that I supplied for you. Now to get started, we're going to come up here in the top left-hand corner, and you should see under 2D, we have this button here called rectangle. So if I click on this twice, now you'll see we have a rectangle inside of our viewport. And if I come down here to the bottom left where we have this align actors, if I left click on this, and then I'm going to click on screen, and then all the way at the bottom and the right, this is actually going to stretch out our rectangle to be 16 by 9. So if I select this, now it's going to encompass our entire scene, which is what we want. Now let's build out the first background, which is going to be our grid background. And so in order to do that, if you look over here on the right hand side under material designer, we could create a new material. Or if you come over here to rectangle and come down here under your details panel where it says material type, if I select this, you can see we have material designer. So that's two ways that we could get to material designer. So I'm just going to do it right here. And now you can see that we have this UV grid right here. And on the right hand side, you'll notice that we have material designer with this layer in here. Now, if you haven't seen my previous tutorial on motion designer, material designer is very powerful and an easy way that we can actually do texture stacking inside of Unreal Engine 5.4, similar how we do it inside of Photoshop. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on this grid right here. And then down here where it says texture, actually where it says type, we come over to texture, select this, and I'm just going to do a solid color. Now you can see that it correlated with our viewport right there, and it just made it gray, but I'm just gonna make it maybe like orange. I like that color a lot. Click OK. And then now what we want to do is actually add this dot pattern onto this. Now the way that we would do that is come over here, and this is going to be our mask. So if you select this white texture right here, this is where we're going to be able to put any of our masked items into, and which is just going to be a black and white file or anything of grayscale descent. So I'm going to come right here to where it has dots. I'm going to left click, drag this into here. And now you can see that we have our dot pattern, and that's being driven by this orange color right here. But if you look closely, you can see that it's kind of squished out. And that's because if we come over here, inside of our details panel, right here where it says material UV, I'm going to left click on this, and where it says mode, instead of uniform, I'm going to do stretched. Now this is going to make it absolute to what it has here inside of our dot pattern. So that's the easy way that we could go through and just make sure everything's aligned up. Now the next thing I want to do is actually have like a gradient file kind of swimming through this just to add a little bit of life to it. So I'm going to come back over here to my material designer. And if you notice right beside RGB, we have this other panel called opacity. So I'm going to left click on this. And the first thing you're going to notice is inside of our opacity, it came up with this gradient pattern right here, in which you see correlates with this over here. So this is going to be your opacity stack and your RGB stack. You're going to use these both together to come up with some really powerful designs. So I don't want to have this be a gradient like this. And so what I'm going to do is come right here to where we have our gradient, left click on this, and under texture, I'm just going to do solid color, and I'm just going to actually make this one full white. So now you can see right now, everything is opaque again. And now if we come over here to the right side where it says material stage, this is where all the magic's going to happen. So we're going to drive everything with another mask down here under texture. So right here where it says white square texture, I'm going to left click on this, and you can see that there's a bunch of default textures that come with Unreal Engine already. So I'm going to type in T_default, and there's this one texture I like to use, which is down here at the bottom. So T_default texture 2D, select this one. And you can already see that we're starting to get some of that transparency in there. Everything isn't fully opaque. We're getting some gradient in there, and that's going to correlate with this image right here. Now we can actually make this animate, and we're going to do this one with the effects layers. So if you look right here, and this looks very familiar to Photoshop, right? Like we have this effect layer, you could toggle it down, and this is where we're going to see all of our effects. So the first one we're going to do is come right here to where it says add layer effect, left click on this. And let's actually crunch this down a little bit. So right here where it says alpha, we're going to come down here to alpha level. So I'm going to left click on this. And now you can see underneath here, now we have alpha level, in which if I click on this, you can see now we have some attributes that popped up here that we can manipulate. So I'd like to mess around with these numbers a little bit. So let's move this maybe up to somewhere around there. And you can see it's almost working like how levels will work inside of Photoshop or After Effects, right? So what we're doing is you can see it correlating with this right here. As we're messing with it, it's actually crunching it down there a little bit. And you can see it happening real time inside your viewport here. So this really helps out just to help out with our design. Now let's get this moving. Again, we're going to come over here to where we say add effect layer. I'm going to left click on this. I'm going to come down here to distort, and we're going to click on wave warp. Now if I select this, now you can see that it's starting to move inside of our viewport here. So if I select this, this is going to bring up these attributes here, and this is where you could really have fun with it. And this is just adding a little bit of life to our background. So it's just not a static dot image. So I want to slow this down a little bit. So inside of amplitude for X and Y, I'm just going to bring these both down to 1. Just because I want to have some subtle movements in there, but just go through and play around with as you see fit for these. This is going to be totally up to how you want your design to look. And then the last one I'm going to add here, again, come over here to add effects layer. Come down here to UV, and I'm going to click on pixelate. Now we have these attributes down here, which we could really mess around with. So you can already see it's starting to put it into like these grid type patterns, which I thought would look really neat. So I'm just going to leave the texture size alone, but I'm just going to play with this. So maybe let's say around like 65 looks a little bit cool. So now we have like this pixelated texture back there. It's not uniform. We have some life moving within these dots, and it's just starting to really look like a futuristic HUD. But I don't like how dull these dots are. So let's add a little bit of glow to these. So right over here under your material designer, I'm going to come right here, RGB, select this. I'm going to come down here to add layer effect, left click on this, and we're going to look for glow, which is right here under color. So if I select glow, and then I select this again, I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to select on glow, And now we could just add our glow amount in here. So I'm just going to scroll this up a little bit. There we go. That might be too much. We just want to add a little bit of glow in there, maybe around 8. And now we're starting to have a glow effect on our dots. Maybe that might be too much, maybe somewhere around 6, but just play around until you find something suffice. So that right there, you can see how the material designer is really powerful, especially when you don't want to have a static background and you just want to add a little bit of life to it. But now the real fun happens. Let's get into the operator stack. So we're going to start off by creating a new rectangle again. So again, we're going to come up here into our top left, click on rectangle twice, and that's just going to bring a rectangle into our scene. I'm not going to make this one full screen. What I'm going to do is actually create a material that's going to be part of our HUD. So right here under material designer, create material. And then I'm going to make this one orange again. So come down here under type, texture. I'm going to make it solid color, make this one orange once again, something like that. And then I'm going to click on our mask area right here. And I'm just going to take this Winbush tech _02. I'm going to left click, select, bring it over here. And it was easy as that. So if we want to make this a little bit larger, I'm just going to make sure I have it selected here inside of my outliner. Let's move this over down here under panels or details. I'm going to put this on like so. And let's maybe make this 3 somewhere around there. And then inside of my location, we want to make sure that we bring it forward a little bit. So we're going to go maybe around like -6 here. So if you're looking inside of our location, I'm just bringing it forward a little bit because everything here is working in 3D space. So if we would have kept it at 0, at some point it's going to start colliding and you're going to get like these really glitchy effects. Let me actually pull out of my camera like that. And then I'm just going to scroll around here so you can actually see what's happening. So like I was saying, this is actually all working in 3D space. So I'm going to look through my camera again, click on camera, click on my center actor like so. And now let's get to animating this. And so we want to use our operator stack, and we're going to come over here, and under our operator stack, we have 2 sets of parameters. We have modifiers and we have animators. We want to go on animators, and then right here where it says add animator, I'm going to left click on this, and then I'm going to come down here under time, and I'm going to come down here under rotation. So you can already see it's starting to go crazy there. No keyframes or anything. And that's because if we come over here under length properties, let me actually scroll down my details panel. You can see that we have it for the pitch, yaw, and roll, but we only want to have it animating on a roll. So I'm going to come and just delete these and only have roll in here. And it's going a little bit crazy, right? So let's actually work with these parameters to get something that's a little bit more nice. So up here under global frequency, I'm going to put this at 0.1. And now you can see we're already starting to get a nice rotation there, but also it's starting to glitch. Like if you see right here, we're getting a jump in the frames there. There we go, just right there. So let's work to make sure we don't see that happen. So down here under amplitude min, I'm going to put this on 0. And then under max, let's put this up to 360. Now this is going to guarantee that we get a full 360-degree rotation out of it, no glitches or anything. And it's as simple as that. I went through and did that for a lot of these different techie type grids down here, and I just kept repeating it. But let me actually come back over here, come to FX layer, come down here to color, just add some glow to this one as well. So select this, bring up the glow amount, something like that. And actually, if I come back over here to our outliner, I'm going to right click and I'm going to come down here under duplicate, or you could have did Control D. Now just duplicated that. And then down here under my details panel, let's put this one up to -15. So we move up more. And now keep watching this because we're not even having anything turned off. Everything is just working real time inside of our viewport. But with this rectangle selected right here, if I come over here and select this, then I come right here and I drag this over into our mask. Now you can see we added that really easy. So if I come down here, make the scale up to 5, now you can see how easy we can start adding shapes in here. And to make it even more fun, if I hold down the Alt key on my keyboard, left click and just drag this over, now you can see that we're just adding multiple shapes in here. And you just go through, maybe make this one 2, make this one 3, something like that. And you can see how quick and easy you could go through here and just do some really cool HUD designs inside of your scene. So you can already see how quick and easy you could come up with some cool designs using the animator stack inside the operator stack. But that's not all. We can also use it on a camera just to add a little bit of wiggle to it to make it really feel like it's coming to life. So in order to do that, under my motion design outliner, let's scroll this down a little bit until we can see our camera. And you can see right now our camera is actually locked. So we're going to select this. So we unlock our camera, and now we can freely move around our scene here. So let's find a cool position, maybe somewhere around this, somewhere around there. That looks pretty cool. And now let's add some camera wiggle just to add some extra effect to our scene. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do first is come over here on my left hand side under actors. I'm going to select this, and then I want to select the null actor. So if I select this twice, now we should see it instead of our motion design outliner up here at the top. And instead of null actor, I'm just going to name it null camera, which you don't have to do. You can name it anything that you want. Let me move this over here like so. And then I'm going to take my camera and actually put it under this. But before I do that, let me take my camera, move it outside of this null right here. So I could come down here to my transform tools, and we're just going to take a look at our location. I'm going to right click, copy, and then where it says null camera, I'm going to select this. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to paste it. And that way we make sure our null is in the same exact position as our camera. So if I'm selecting between the two, you can see the location is exactly the same. So now what I'm going to do is take my camera, bring it underneath my null, and we're going to add our operation animators under this null. So with this selected, I'm going to select my operator stack. Let me scroll this down a little bit. I'm going to come over here to add animators, and then I'm going to come down here to where it says wiggle, and I'm just going to do wiggle location. So left click on this, and now you can see our camera is going crazy, and this is moving that null that's actually holding our camera. So same thing as before. If you come over here to where it says link properties, I'm going to left click on this. I'm going to turn off the Y, and I'm going to turn off the Z, and we're just going to do it along the X for right now. So if I come up here to magnitude, make this 0.4 just to make it a little bit less hectic. And then I'm going to come over here to relative location, select this, and then for my minimum, let's make this like -5. And for my maximum, let's make this 5. So we're just getting a little bit of movement in there. We can maybe even do 10 just to add it a little bit more. So we're getting some camera wiggle along the X-axis here. That's looking really nice. But let's add some rotation in here as well. So I can actually click on this plus symbol, come down here to rotation. And now you can see our viewports going nuts there. But let's turn these off and just go with roll. So I'm going to move these down. And for minimum, let's go with -5. Same thing for maximum. Let's go with 5. Maybe we could do 10. But you can already see how we're starting to add some camera wiggle to our camera here. And this is adding a little bit more life to it. But if you wanted more control over the wiggle, we can actually come through and let's turn these off. So I'm going to delete some of these here. Turn off that, exit that. So for this right here, I'm just going to leave this for the X. And then if I come back over here under add animators, come down here under wiggle, I'm going to do it on rotation. And then this way, if you come down here, we have more control over our magnitude. So again, make this 1.4 down here under picture, and y'all turn that off. Then we're just going to make this -10, bring this up to 10, something like that. In this way, we have two separate animators in which you could go through and have even more flexibility on a global magnitude. So that's going to be it. Like I said before, I'm going to give you guys my project file so you could go in there, backward engineer the one that I did, and then you'll also have the complete texture files as well. If you want to create something from scratch, you can completely do so. Just make sure you go to my Gumroad to make sure you download everything. So once again, my name is Jonathan Winbush. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new. And until next time, stay fresh, keep creating, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'll see you soon. Take care.